안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. 저는 사람사랑유학원 대표 이선호라고 합니다. 그리고 여기에 지금 나와 계신 분은 OIC 담당자분이시거든요. 그래서 이분은 아론 홉데이시라는 분이고요. 사실 이분이 계속 저랑 야스민 사와랑도 얘기를 많이 하지만 이분하고 가장 클로즈하게 어드미션 관련돼서 이야기를 하고 있고요. 이분이 모든 제 학생들을 인터뷰를 해요. 그래서 아시아에 있는 학생들 모두 좀 인터뷰를 하고 학교에 리포트를 해주고 하시는 분이거든요. 그래서 야스민 사와의 동영상은 좀 많이 있어서 사실 이분은 다른 관점에서 또 보기 위해서 이분을 좀 초대했거든요. 그래서 부디 많이 도움이 되시기를 바라고요. 사실 이 내용이 굉장히 좀 길 수도 있어요. 학교 결과에 대면서 학교에 대한 광고하기 위해서 하는 게 아니라 굉장히 좀 전략을 어떻게 세우고 어떤 마음가짐을 가지고 어떻게 시작을 해야 되는지 의대의 본질이 뭔지 왜 이런 부분을 소개해 드릴 거거든요. 그래서 일단 한번 잘 들어보시고 분명히 궁금한 거 많이 있으실 거예요. 그러면 저한테 연락을 해주시면 될 것 같습니다. 그리고 그러면 시작을 하도록 하겠습니다. Aaron, so you can introduce yourself and then you can start now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Suno. So my name's Aaron Hobday. I work for Oxford International College and I am the Senior Asia Regional Manager and Admissions Manager, and I work under the very famous Yasmin Sawa, who is the CEO of OIC, Oxford International College. So today, this presentation will be around 40 minutes long. What I've tried to do is to break it into 5 sections. So the first section we'll look at medical pathways. What's the background? What is the situation in the UK if you are applying to medicine? The second thing we'll look at is how do you get into a UK medical school? What is the pathway? What's the advantages and disadvantages? And we'll look at all the different universities and the different types of courses. The third section will look at foundation and other pathways to medicine. The fourth section will look at A-level and GCSE and what we can offer at Oxford International College. And finally, the fifth section, what you can do now to become more competitive if you're applying to a medical school in the future. So we are the #1 school in the UK. We've been ranked #1 since 2019, which was the last time that we took A-levels. As you know, the pandemic has meant that exams have been cancelled. We have had teacher assessed grades. We've had calculated assessed grades. Perhaps it's the same in Korea, where because of the pandemic, not everybody took the official exams because obviously safety first. We've been guided as a school by the wonderful Miss Yasmin Sawa, who is really, really fantastic. She is Chief Educational Officer at OIC. She sits on the panel of 2 very famous UK med schools. So if you are interested in knowing more about interview preparation to enter medicine, then Yasmin is perfect to advise you. Yasmin also founded Cardiff Sixth Form College, which, as you can see, used to be the #1 school until OIC took the first place. So Yasmin has a wonderful track record of over 13 years of running the #1 A-level school in the UK. She's had over 400 students admitted into what we call the G5 universities. So that's Oxford and Cambridge, which we call Oxbridge, LSE, London School of Economics, Imperial College London and UCL, and over 500 students into medical school. And we've had some brilliant statistics this year and over the past few years. 100% of all of our students at OIC who applied to medicine have successfully got an offer to study medicine, and that's fantastic. So a little bit of background about our university admissions this year. So our strategies and what we do at OIC are paying off. You can see that we have many students who get top grades from all different countries of the world, looking at studying medicine, dentistry, veterinary medicine, and so on. And you can see we've even got some famous students from Korea who have entered King's College London in medicine. Now, just to let you know a little bit of background where our students went, so who did medicine, dentistry and medicine offers, those that are highlighted in the blue purple color are where they went to do medicine, and those in white are some of the famous universities that they went to. So you can see some of our students go to some really fantastic destinations. Now, 2020, looking back, was a really great year for OIC because over 58% of all of our school leavers will go to those G5 universities. 1 in 3 Oxbridge applicants got an offer, which is a really high success rate. 1 in 2 got into Oxford and 1 in 3 got into Cambridge. So these statistics, whilst very good, are extremely impressive because we are comparing ourselves to standard British applications. And remember, OIC is 100% international, so it's even more competitive because there's so many more things that you have to do as an international student to bring yourself up to speed, to make yourself very competitive in order to enter the medical universities. So therefore, I feel the achievement in these few slides is even greater thanks to what happens at OIC, thanks to Miss Yasmin Sawa, and thanks to our really hardworking students. You can see a couple of years ago, we've still had some brilliant results. Here are some statistics, and Mr. Suno can send the presentation to you if you want to look at anything again, because there's a lot of information in this presentation. Now, mentioning the obvious, we've obviously been suffering a global pandemic recently, and this has changed the university admissions landscape for all school years. So back in 2019, this was the last year before the pandemic. This was the last year that students sat the A-level papers, and you can see over here in the light blue color, this is what percentage of students were gaining A star grades in the UK. This is the percentage of A, and this is the percentage of B grades. In 2020, we had a government algorithm in the UK. So because students didn't take the exam, we had to look at previous assignments, previous tests, and work out what the students' grades would have been. You can see that because of this, there was a higher level of A star and A grades, even higher than the year before. And then finally, this year, you can see that we had teacher assessed grades. So your teachers gave you a predicted grade, which became your official A level, again, due to the results of the pandemic. You can see this color in pink. The A star number went up across the whole of the UK. The A level, A grade level went up all across the UK. This is what we call grade inflation. So we're concerned that more and more students in the UK were gaining higher scores. Now, a little bit of background about what's happening in the UK. This has obviously made universities a little worried because if more students are getting A stars, how do we know who is the top student and who is a good student? How do Oxford and Cambridge find out who the top or the best student really is? We're seeing that Oxford and Cambridge are now a little bit nervous to make as many offers. So previously, if Oxford had 1 space, they would give 3 offers. This year, they're giving 1.5 offers for 1 space. So they're being a little bit more conservative in how they approach the selection process. There's also additional forms of assessment, such as admissions, tests, interviews, but also finding out students' background, their passion for the course. And also this year, they're trying to ensure that the gap in inequality doesn't widen further in the UK. So these have all been challenges, but despite these challenges, OIC has still managed to get our students into some of the top and most competitive degree programs. Now, remember, if you're considering medicine, subjects such as medicine, computing, engineering, they've increased in popularity by 1/3 since 2011. And I think that's just natural, in the same way that art, English, and history have decreased by 1/3 since 2011. Most of our students will apply for the world's most competitive courses. So that'll be maths, economics, natural science, medicine, law, engineering. And some of these degrees will only have a 10% acceptance rate. So therefore, it's testament to our strategic methodology in the OIC A-level course that we can achieve those successes despite all of the unfavorable odds and despite all of the challenges. So I honestly think some of the best ways to succeed is to join the A-level program at OIC. Now, there are ways to get into university. You need to pass admissions tests if you're looking at medicine, the university interviews, and they'll also look at your AS levels or your GCSEs if you took them. Don't worry, if you're coming from Korea and you don't have GCSEs, that's not a huge problem. But remember, if you're well prepared for your admissions tests, your university interviews, and you've done very strongly in the first year of A-level, you'll get an offer. It's the A-level results which solidify and cement that offer and get you acceptance. So some parents, some students will say, I must get 3 A's in order to enter medicine. Well, actually, to get the offer, it's 1 + 2 + 3, and you get a medicine offer. Then +4 means you're accepted into the school or the university. So please bear that in mind. We know that a lot of our schools are going to look at interviews and the admissions test results. So everything from day one, when you come to OIC, is interview preparation, admissions test practice, such as the BMAT and the UCAT. We also support our students to write a really great personal statement. But furthermore, we have so many extracurricular activities to help students develop their passion. So this year, in October, our students that just started, they went to a hospital, they visited a GP, so a general practitioner or a family doctor, they went to a hospice, they got a first aid qualification, and they also looked at doing a dissection. So that's after week 8 of being at OIC. We want to build those super curricular activities so that by the time you've already spent a year with us, you have so much to talk about, you're impressive at interview, you're very well prepared for those admissions tests, and you become a well-rounded student. This is all really, really important, especially if you're looking at applying to something as competitive as medicine. So at OIC, what do we do to enable you to enter medicine? We develop a growth mindset. We look at trusting the learning process, becoming a problem solver rather than a problem finder, being resilient, trusting the process, being adaptive, and also at OIC, even though the academics is really important, I would say the career and academic planning is equally as important, because there are many students who stay in Korea, Hong Kong, Singapore, who can get many A stars in their A level, but yet they don't enter medical school or Oxbridge. So that secret ingredient we feel at OIC is something we can definitely help with. Now, there are lots of modern ways to help students succeed. We do lots of study skills such as active recall, spaced repetition, retrieval learning. We use technology. We use data in our examinations to optimize your exam techniques. And also we will give weekly tests on a Saturday, such as your skits. So all of your maths, biology, and chemistry, we will test each week on a Saturday. So you will always know how well you are performing when you're at OIC. So I think strategy, especially coming to somewhere like Oxford International College, is more important than ever, especially given the results of a post-pandemic world where things are becoming a little bit more competitive. Okay, that's my first section done. Now I'm going to talk about...
Yes. Yeah, so I can give in a some explanation about so far.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. 지금 잠시만 제가 조금만 언급해드리면, 지금 전체 포인트를 어떻게 보냐면, 지금 처음에 얘기했던 것처럼 2019년에 A하고 A스타는 25%, 영국의 25% 정도가 A하고 A스타 되거든요. 근데 의대에 입학을 할 때 A스타 A 비율이 A스타 A 정도만 맞으면 의대를 다 입학을 해요. 그러니까 A가 A레벨 성적이 의대 입학에 거의 영향 미치지 않는다는 거예요. 물론 A하고 A스타 못 맞으면 입학을 못 하겠지만, 하지만 점점 2020년에는 38%, 21년에 44%가 A하고 A스타를 맞았거든요. 그래서 A레벨 결과, 즉 수학, 과학, 생물 이 성적을 가지고 의대를 가는 게 아니다라는 걸 얘기를 해주고 싶은 거예요. 그래서 그렇다라고 하면 어느 학교에서든지 어디든지 의대를 갈 수 있지만, 사실 정말 특별한 학교에서 특별한 트레이닝을 받고 이런 학생들만 좀 의대를 가는 이런 상황이 벌어지고 있는 거예요. 그래서 이 자리를 마련했고요. 사실 지금부터 어떻게 OIC가 이 코스를 제공하는지, 어떤 코스를 제공하고 어떻게 의대를 가게 하는지 이걸 알려드리려고 세미나를 하고 있는 거거든요. 그래서 이 포인트로 들으시면 될 것 같습니다. 오케이?
No problem. Each section I'll pause and allow Mr. Suno some time to explain or the opportunity for any questions, but we will have Q&A at the very end, so don't worry. Okay, section 2, getting into UK medical school. So why would you want to study medicine? So a lot of students talk about the pandemic, but on the whole, it's because you want to make a difference to people's lives by alleviating or removing pain and suffering. Now, being a doctor, you can have wide access to many different careers, and there are different areas that you can go into. And what you do each day is very different, very intellectually interesting. And no matter where you go in the world, whether it be Korea, whether it be the UK or somewhere else in the world, you will always be in demand for a job. So it's your passport to travel around the world and have a job. And I think that even if you don't want to work with patients, you want to go into research, you want to look at management, you want to look at teaching, becoming a doctor is a very varied profession. But it's also important to look at the advantages as well as the disadvantages. So being a doctor is not a 9-to-5 job. It's a lifestyle. So you can be on demand all the time. It's a 7-day-a-week job sometimes, not always, just sometimes. It can be very emotionally and physically demanding. As you can see, after the pandemic and coronavirus, people are seeing that the true heroes are the world's doctors and nurses. And it's also a very long time to have to study and train as well. So it's a big investment of time and money. Furthermore, as you grow and develop into a young man or a young woman, you're going to have to deal with some very difficult situations that you might not have encountered before, which is why it's really important to be resilient and persevering and keep trying, as a lot of it is very challenging. You've also got to be careful to not go into medicine just for money. That's one really big issue, because if it's about the money and it's not about the joy of helping and caring for people, that will make your decision a little bit more challenging. And it must be a decision that you've made and not anybody else. Because when you go for those interviews for medical school, you will have interviews that are quite challenging. And if there's any doubt in your mind as to whether you want to become a doctor or not, they will find out. So you really need to find that passion to be a doctor. And if you have that passion, we can get you into medical school. That's what we feel we can do at OIC. Now, medicine is globally recognized in the UK. We have a variety of locations, all fantastic places. And don't forget, it's not just undergraduate medicine, we also do postgraduate medicine. Now, I'll go through this section fairly quickly because it's probably the biggest section, but if there's any questions, you can ask me later, or Mr. Suno can send you the presentation. So if we think about the UK system, if you're in year 10, you're roughly 15 years old. So my advice, if you're around that age, 15, 16 onwards, start building up your medicine career knowledge. Have a look online, see what different courses there are, find out what area of medicine you're maybe interested in, look at some activities that you can do, maybe a first aid course, or maybe some of your local schools in Korea have some kind of activities that are related to medicine, watch YouTube videos. And even though it's difficult, try to look at getting some work experience, but we know this is not always possible. From year 10, students in the UK normally look at doing 8 GCSEs. They get top scores, so A stars and A's in their GCSE exams. They look at doing 8 GCSEs and do very well in those tests. And once you're in year 12, you start to focus a little bit more and strategize and prepare for the admissions tests and for those interviews. You also start to look at the difference between various universities. So what's the difference between Manchester and Glasgow? What's the difference between medicine at Oxford or Cambridge? Once you're in year 13, that's when the application stage truly starts. So you submit your application, you will sit your aptitude tests, which are your BMAT and your UCAT. You may be invited to attend an interview and you'll get your offers. So currently we have some A-level students who've just got their 4 interviews just now at several different universities, and they're waiting to attend those over the next month. And by February, they should actually start getting their offers. Finally, in year 13, you'll look at getting your A-level results in the August, and you'll meet the conditions of your medical school, and then you'll start university at med school. Now, some degrees might have an intercalation year or an intercalated year. So that might mean that your degree could be 5 years. It also could be 6 years. So you see at the top here, we've got undergraduate entry, MBBS, Bachelor of Medicine, Bachelor of Surgery, 5 years. That's a standard medicine degree. Some universities have a 6-year medicine degree. So an intercalated year allows you to gain an extra degree. It might be anatomical sciences, it might be something related. So you can gain 2 degrees and focus on an area of research. Also, if you're looking at doing an undergraduate degree in biomed, you can then look at doing a 4-year medicine graduate entry degree afterwards. So there are many ways to enter medicine. If you're doing a foundation program, that'll be 2 years, and then you'll do GP training 3 years. And then you can look at other specialty training 5 to 8 years. So that's the pathway to medicine post-graduation. Now, when you're looking at choosing a medical school, 3 things I would say. Firstly, consider the location. You need to like the city. If you don't like the city, you're not going to be happy because you'll be there for quite some time. If you look, it could be a total of 5 years doing your basic training. And then if you want to become a surgeon or a specialist, it could be anything from 5 to 8 years. So if you like London, you should aim at the London universities. If you're looking at a big city, choose Glasgow, Manchester, or Birmingham, or somewhere like that. Also, you might want the opportunity to intercalate. You might want to not just get a Bachelor of Medicine, but you might want to also get a Bachelor of Anatomical Sciences or Biomed. Some schools don't offer this, and you can do more research later. So don't worry too much about that. And then thirdly, what kind of course is it? So there are 3 types of medicine courses, and each of us have a different sort of personality. So those 3 types of courses would suit different personalities. We have the traditional type, which is a bit more academic, problem-based, which is looking at case studies, and integrated, which is everything all together at the same time. So let's look at those 3. So the traditional course at a university would be a little bit more academic. So the first 3 years, you'd look at the foundations of medicine, physiology, biochemistry, anatomy. And then the last 2 or 3 years, you'll start doing your GP or hospital practice, and patient contact starts from year 4. So that's the very standard academic traditional type of style of medicine degree. There are also problem-based learning medicine degrees. So if it's a student-centered approach, it means you work in groups quite a lot. The learning is focused with teamwork, working on cases, but it encourages you to look deeper into various problems. But the great advantage is that you get early clinical exposure, whereas if you do traditional, it's a bit academic at the start, and then it becomes more practical towards the end. The third type, which is actually the most common, is what we call a systems-based approach. So this is the most popular type of course taught. Material is taught according to the bodily systems. So we've got like the digestive system, the nervous system, the muscular system, the skeleton, and you have early patient contact. So when you're covering, say, the circulatory system, you cover the anatomy, physiology, pharmacology, pathology of it, all at once. So it's quite a lot, but it's really, really useful. And various students like different types of courses. Now, for your character, you need to be someone that has a very good, well-rounded skill set, such as you can see on the screen. You need to not just be academic, but you need to be able to work with people. You need to be able to show empathy. You need to be able to solve problems. You need to be able to prioritize your time, be able to speak well, and be what we call resilient. So even when bad things happen, you pick yourself up and you continue forwards. You don't let things get to you too much. So that's what an ideal doctor would look like. Now, when you apply, the application procedure is designed to select the most suitable candidates. So tutors are looking not just for your evidence of academic strength, but they're also looking for your character and personality qualities. So they'll find that from your personal statement, your interview, your references, whereas your academic will come from your predicted grades. So that would be your AS levels if you're at OIC, or your GCSEs, or what you did when you were in high school. Now, this is a little bit of information of what to do when you're in year 10. So if some of you are younger students, I would say start looking online at YouTube videos, start reading medical blogs, follow the pharmacy around coronavirus. So what kind of jabs are there? What kind of medicines are there? And keep up to date with the news. And I think that kind of wider reading, if you interviewed with me at OIC and you told me you'd read 2 books and you'd been watching some YouTube videos, you would already be ahead of some of the students that we might encounter. You can also look at doing practical things, which I'm not sure if is possible back home, but you could do a first aid qualification. You could do volunteering, helping older people or helping young children with disabilities. Even if you love biology or maths or physics or chemistry, why not enter a competition? Because that shows that you have been proactive to gain an extra gold star to show that you have an interest in the subject, not just in school, but outside of school as well. Also, there are lots of free courses that you can do, including at the UK Open University or Harvard, or many other places online where you can do a short 4-week online course. So maybe you're interested in cancer, maybe you're interested in vaccines or drugs that can combat new diseases. It would be great to find some evidence when you speak to us of you having studied that, or of you having watched a video about that, or even done a very short 4-week course. Now, work experience can be anywhere. It's normally undertaken over a longer period of time. Don't worry if you've not got that experience, because if you come to OIC, that's something we help with. What we want to do, though, is we want to build up your story. So if you're 14, 15, 16, 17, and you've not done anything yet, we need to start. So you can do various different things throughout the time, so that when you get to university application stage, you can talk about all of your previous accomplishments, all the things that you've done, and also have a few references as well, because that's also useful when you're applying to university. These sort of experiences show that you truly want to study medicine, and it's not just something you've thought of recently. It's something that's been a longer thought out process. And remember, those UK traditional universities are very impressed when they see a student who's made a decision thanks to a well and long thought out process, rather than something that is all of a sudden thought up. So have a think and look at what you can do today to further your interest in medicine. Now, when you're in year 10 or year 11, GCSE is very important if you're in the UK. If you're in Korea, it doesn't matter, because when you come into year 12, you'll do your AS levels. And to enter medicine, you will need to study maths, chemistry, biology, and normally the 4th choice is quite interesting. A lot of our students will look at doing physics as their 4th subject. Some might do psychology. You could always do economics or geography as well. But remember, you only need 3 A levels. So you don't need to do 5 or 6 A levels, because if you do all of that, you won't have time to do your supercurricular activities, which are really important. In your second to last year in year 12, which might be your first year at OIC, that's the time when we really push you to attend university open days. We look at different universities and looking at the advantages and the disadvantages, and we make sure that you understand absolutely everything. So don't worry if you don't understand everything now. By the time you're in the UK, we will ensure that you understand the full application process in order to enter medicine. Finally, when you're in year 13, you'll start by taking the Aptitude Test, which is the BMAT or the UCAT. You'll write your personal statement just before you start your A-level year, which will probably be in early September or late August. and then you'll submit your application by the 15th of October. And from December to January, you'll start attending interviews in the UK. So UCAT, BMAT are very different. Don't worry about this too much, but just remember UCAT and BMAT because they're a little bit different. Some universities ask for UCAT, some will ask for BMAT, but we'll talk about this in a later seminar. So when you're looking at applying to medical schools, you get to apply to 4 different medical schools, plus a 5th choice, which could be biomed. So remember, if you're applying to Oxford and Cambridge, you can only choose one. So you have to choose either Oxford or Cambridge. So if you choose Oxford, because OIC is in Oxford, that's your first choice. Then you choose 3 other med schools. So you could choose Birmingham, Manchester, and Aberdeen. And they're all slightly different, but you choose them strategically because it might suit your personality. The A levels might not be so high. So some might ask for A star, A, but you've applied to a school that wants AAA. So you're being strategic about your own personal situation. You're also looking at the differences in the requirement for UCAT results or your BMAT results or even predictions. So your application is personal to you and we will help you be strategic. Now, when you apply through the UK, you apply through UCAS, which is an online system, and you apply to 4 different medical schools before the 15th of October every year. You also have a personal statement, which provides you the opportunity to talk about why you want to study medicine and how you meet the non-academic criteria. So this could be because of internships, this could be because of work experience, guest lectures or short courses you might have done before you get to that stage. And it's your chance to demonstrate your passion and your evidence for why you want to study medicine. So, in short, I would say over the next couple of years, in order to prepare better for the interviews and the admissions tests, you need to be up to date with the latest medical advances. So, are there any drugs that can control coronavirus? What about the news regarding Omicron, the new virus variant? Have you been following that on the news? You should also be very good at looking at statistics and data and graphs. In your interviews, you might be asked about the science content that you may have spoken about in your personal statement. So if you write it in your personal statement, make sure that you're very confident about speaking about that when you're interviewed. Also, make sure that you're familiar with the principles of medical ethics, but you don't have to worry about what area of medicine you're studying. You can choose that later. You're not expected to know that straight away. Also, the biggest thing, so if you forget everything, please remember this one thing. When you choose a university, please make sure that you look at the course structure, because what you study in Cambridge might be different to Birmingham, and what you study at Manchester might be different to Aberdeen. They're all medicine degrees, but there are differences. And if you don't know those differences, you might come across as not having been researching the full degree, and this might work against you. You know, it's very often overlooked and students can be caught out on gaps in very basic and easy to understand knowledge. So once you've applied to medical school, and if your application is strong, you'll be invited to a different type of interview. One might be a panel interview, which is where you have a couple of tutors, maybe 2 or 3, and they'll ask you lots of different questions. There might be something called MMIs, which are multiple mini interviews. So these are really small, short, practical assessments of 10 minutes, and you move around and you have some time to prepare your answer. It could be either type. So if you're in an MMI interview, they'll test your teamwork. They'll look at your personal qualities, how you solve problems, an awareness of medical issues. So remember, I talked about looking at the news about Omicron and other things that are very topical or current. That's really important for interviews. So that's something you guys can start today. Also, communication skills. Have you worked as part of a team? Are you able to think all of a sudden on your feet? And do you know what a doctor does? Are you able to look at graphs and interpret data? And can you follow instructions? So here's a task that's an MMI scenario. So an actor plays the role of your neighbor who is an old lady and you have accidentally run over and killed her cat while reversing your car, you have 5 minutes to think about how you break the news to her. So what do you think this is trying to demonstrate? This is trying to demonstrate honesty, integrity, and empathy, because sometimes bad things happen and sometimes accidents happen, but it's how you deal with that that's important. Scenario 2 is, without using your hands, explain how to tie your shoelaces. That's quite tough, but that tests your verbal, your communication skills, and how to break something that could be complicated down into small little steps. So remember when I talked about this presentation, I said it would be in 5 pieces, piece 1, piece 2, 3, 4, 5. That's always a good way to break things into smaller and more easy to understand parts. In a panel interview where you've got 3 tutors, quick questions. Should someone sell their kidney? When is a person dead? Should abortion be illegal? And so on. So these are really, really good questions for a panel interview as well. So you can see that to approach the questions, you need to have critical thinking. You need to have experienced these issues, which is what we do at OIC. So we prepare you for standard questions. We prepare you for the work experience related questions, and even the ethics, is it ethical if a person wants to do euthanasia? So if they want to kill themselves because of a terminal disease, is it right to let that person die? Or should we protect the right to life, for example? So those kinds of questions that you debate in class, and you will do at OIC, Medical Society, you'll have lots of practice. All of this, everything you do at school in OIC is to prepare you for those interviews and admissions tests. So you can see our students do lots of really good super curricular activities. You can see from visits to school, to guest lectures, to dissection, and even looking at a dead body to see what the impact of disease is. These are all things that really help enrich your experience when you're applying to medical school. So of course, medicine requires discipline and determination, but if you want to become a doctor, you will be able to achieve it. So Mr. Suno, I know that was a lot of information for part 2. Did you want to just summarize before I talk about maybe foundation and other ways to enter medicine? Otherwise, I'll continue. Okay, so let's look at the other ways to enter medicine. So
okay, you can continue. So actually,
I
so,
can continue.
Yeah, I had to stay here in my office. Yeah.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah, so you can keep going. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Suno.
you. Sure.
So one thing I would say to our students here today is, even though the traditional route is to go via A-level and then apply through OIC by coming to us to study, there are other ways to enter medicine. And Mr. Suno is probably the Asia expert in foundation courses for medicine. So this is something you can also look at, but I'll go through this a little more quickly. And if you're interested, ask for the slides and we will share. So there are 2 types of medicine foundation courses. So you might have a 5-year degree, and then you have a 6th year, well, a year 0 before, which begins with the foundation, and then you progress into the 5-year medicine degree. Now, there might be an extended 6-year course. So the 5-year is actually stretched into a 6-year course. So you'll find it a little less fast-paced, or the standalone foundation. So you might go to just a foundation pathway place to study the medical school foundation, and then that will allow you to apply to various different schools. So not all of them are attached to a particular university. Some you might go to, say, Birmingham, you do a foundation and you progress into Birmingham. Others you might study and you can go to various different universities. So which medical schools offer foundation courses? So Aberdeen has Gateway to Medicine, Dundee, Edge Hill, also Hull, which is a good one for foundation, Kiel, King's College London, Lancaster and Leeds. And then we've got a few more here that you can see. Notice that some are only open to UK applicants, some are for UK and EU, some are open to everybody. So there are obviously lots of different requirements. Don't worry, our job is to help you navigate that. So if you're at OIC, that's something we'll look at helping you with. Or if you're looking to apply directly to the foundation in medicine, then Mr. Suno can help you with absolutely anything. Now, there are alternatives to foundation courses. So some medical schools have a standalone foundation course, which will help you for your medical school application. And some might say, if you complete this course successfully, we'll give you an interview for medical school once you've finished. And there tend to be 3, and this does change all the time, this information. So it's December 2021 currently, and there's a standalone foundation course at Bradford, which allows progression into Leeds, Hull, Brighton, Sussex, Norwich. There's Buckingham, which has a certificate in medical foundation studies, and Aston University has Pathway to Healthcare, which is an 18-month program that you do alongside your A-levels as well. Okay, so a foundation course might be right for you if you forgot to take sciences at A-level, or maybe you didn't get the top grades, or you didn't get into medicine the first time around, or there are other requirements. But having more than one science A-level will make you ineligible for some foundation courses. So again, it can be a bit case by case. So the best and easiest way to enter medicine is to do maths, chemistry and biology A-levels and come to OIC. However, applying to foundation is quite simple. You apply through UCAS just like you would a standard degree. So let us know if you need that support and we'll be here to guide you. Okay, so the 4th section will be what we offer at OIC. So remember I talked about academic excellence, but your career development and your preparation for medicine is just as important as getting those top grades, because it's no point focusing 100% of your energy into getting straight A stars if you don't work on the supercurricular. We also want to encourage personal development as well. So we see these as 3 equal parts, which allow us to promote our OIC flagship A-level and GCSE program. So very quickly at OIC, we will look at what kinds of universities you want to go to straight away. Some students will come to OIC and they'll want to apply to a USA university or an Australian university. We sometimes get students from Hong Kong who come to the UK to do A-level, but wish to return to Hong Kong to do medicine. And that's completely fine. We're very well prepared for those kinds of students. And also the majority of students will stay in the UK and look at doing medicine there. But we want to give you the maximum amount of choices possible. So if you come to OIC and you apply to your 4 UK medical schools, that's 4 opportunities to enter med school. We'll also look at applying perhaps to Ireland as well if you wanted. So the Royal College of Surgeons in Dublin, very good school. We'll also look at a European offer or a USA offer as well to maximize your chances to become a doctor and enter medical school. So this is all personal to you, and it's what we help with at OIC. But it's not just academic study. OIC has a really, really great social life. We're very supportive to our students, and there's a lot of activities going on which aren't just focused on supercurricular, but also on fun as well, I'd like to say. So we have our Glee Club, which is really, really famous. We have in here Model UN in the bottom left, you can see. We had a cake baking competition for the GCSE stars. So we have the Great British Bake Off, which is a famous UK TV program. So we do things similar to that. We have get-togethers and field trips as well. And one of the important things throughout this pandemic is we are very, very sensitive to personal health. So everybody in OIC, doesn't matter about the government laws, will wear a face mask. Before you come in, you scan a QR code, you sanitize your hands so we know where you are. And we've had 0 cases of transmission within OIC. So even if the pandemic is going away, our COVID-19 measures will still be in place. You can see guest lectures, field trips, and lots of other activities that we've been doing recently. So A-levels is what you'd need to do if you're coming to OIC to study medicine. You can also look at doing GCSE, which I encourage more and more students to do. That's 1 year GCSE and you study 8 different subjects. And the accommodation at OIC is lovely, so it's all brand new. And we don't tend to share bedrooms, so every room has an ensuite shower room, so it means that you have a shower inside your bedroom. And meals are served at the college canteen 3 times a day, 7 days a week. And in addition, you have access to the Oxford University Sports Club, which is fantastic as well. Now, my final section that will take 2 minutes, almost perfect timing before the Q&A, is what can you do now to better prepare yourself for looking at a career in medicine? So you might be 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, or even 18 years old, and you'll be looking at how to be more competitive looking into medicine. So we have an online university preparation program that we've been running for 3 years now. And this is a uni prep program that uses the academic excellence, the career development and the personal development, similar to what we do at OIC. This is ideal for any student that's looking to study medicine or even law, engineering, economics, business studies, and so on at one of the UK's top universities. We have a 2-week course of university preparation, how to apply to university, the UCAS form, the personal statement, the interviews. We also do advanced science and maths. In addition, we partner with Imperial College London because we have a very, very amazing doctor called Dr. Randall Perry, who runs the Global Space Design Challenge over a weekend. And this is a really great way of demonstrating being well-rounded and working with other people. So it's a weekend, a Friday, a Saturday and a Sunday. So it covers the weekend. And you work with different students on setting up a new civilization on a different planet. Really, really interesting. You get a certificate as well, and that can also be a gold star when you're looking to apply to any of your degree programs in the future. We are also offering a 5-day digital internship, which is an optional add-on, and you have this in medicine, dentistry, vet med as well. So you can look at doing stitching, you can look at dissection, you'll get to talk to doctors in different areas. So you could look at a GP, speak to a surgeon, speak to a neurosurgeon, speak to a psychiatrist. All those different specializations of medicine are really important to explore. And we can do this in our 5-day digital internship. So if you have no background experience, I think this is a really, really great course to consider. And it's over summer when you're not in school, which is great. So you can see that the first intake, we have a 2-week course, which is ideal for the younger students, and a 4-week course, which is perfect for those who are almost applying to medicine. If you're applying from Korea, for example, or if you're at other schools in the UK, the 4-week course is perfect. We've frozen the prices for 2 years now. And you can see what you get at the end of a 4-week course. You'll have a complete personal statement. You'll have a thorough knowledge of your interview preparation skills. You'll also do a simulation day of admissions test preparation. So that includes BMAT practice and UCAT practice. And bridging classes means advanced science and maths. So this is something you can consider in the future. If you have any questions, please make sure that you speak to Mr. Suno or Claire at People Loving, and they will be able to help you. So all in all today, we've spoken about 5 different sections. The first one is the medical pathways and the situation in the UK with A-level now. The second part was how to apply to medical school, the advantages, the disadvantages, the different types of courses, the selection process, BMAT and UCAT, interviews such as panel interviews or MMIs. The third section was we looked at foundation because there are many ways to become a doctor. And then we also looked at A-level and GCSE at OIC. And finally, we looked at the university preparation, which is something you can do this summer. Okay, I'll pass back to Mr. Suno and see if there's any questions that I can answer.
Thank you very much, Aaron. It was great. Yeah, so 지금 제가 잠깐만 더 설명을 해드리면 여기 OIC 프로그램은 여기 아까 설명했지만 Academic Excellence 이것은 당연히 A-level 성적, 그다음에 어드미션 테스트, UCAT, BMAT 같은 그런 성적을 얘기하는 거고요. 여기에서 최고의 성적을 위해서 좀 노력하는 거고요. 그다음에 커리어 디벨롭먼트. 이것은 내가 만약에 의대를 간다라고 하면 의사 관련된 정보를 알아야 돼요. 어떤 게 그죠? 뭐 의사는 본질이 어떤 거냐? 왜 이런 것들 책도 읽고 뭐 여러 가지 기사도 읽고 왜 이런 것들 그리고 워크 익스피리언스 되게 중요하죠. 그다음 발런티어 뭐 이런 것들을 하는 거죠. 그래서 이걸 하면서 그 커리어가 어떤 건지 그 본질이 어떤 건지 정확히 아는 거고요. 그리고 퍼스널 디벨롭먼트는 이것은 내가 예를 들면 음악을 한다, 축구를 한다, 아니면 뭐 여러 가지 다양한 뭐 그죠? 취미 활동을 한다. 그 취미 활동이라든지 운동이라든지 왜 이런 것들이 내가 많은 질문을 받을 거잖아요. 의사가 되려고 하면. 그러면 내가 운동을 했는데 이런 유산소 운동은 이런 환자한테 되게 좋을 거다라는 솔루션을 가질 수 있거든요. 음악을 한다, 오케스트라를 한다라고 하면 음악이 주는 왜 치료효과 이런 것들도 있잖아요. 연결을 시킬 수 있다라는 거예요. 하지만 내가 의대를 가기 위해서 음악을 무조건 해야 된다, 스포츠를 무조건 해야 된다, 이건 아니에요. 하지만 내가 왜 우리가 그죠? 운동이라든지 음악이라든지 뭐 여러 가지 그림을 그린다든지 취미 활동이라든지 거기서 느낄 수 있는 왜 뭐 스트레스 해소라든지 왜 이런 것들도 되게 많이 있잖아요. 좀 조화롭게 뭔가 공부만 하는 사람들을 뽑는 게 전혀 아니고요. 이렇게 조화로운 활동을 하면서 액티비티를 하면서 어떻게 이 학생이 논리적으로 답변할 수 있는가 왜 이런 면에서 퍼스널 디벨롭먼트가 필요한 거죠. 그래서 이런 부분들을 계속 학교에서는 강조해주고 여러 가지 액티비티를 소개를 해드릴 겁니다. 그리고 영어로 해서 약간 전달하는데 좀 어려움이 있을 거라 생각을 해요. 그래서 저도 개인적으로 유튜브도 만들어 놓고 그다음 상담하는 동안 이런 내용들을 굉장히 좀 많이 전달을 하려고 하거든요. 그래서 계속해서 저한테 문의라든지 아니면 저희 유튜브 영상이라든지 웹사이트 좀 참조하시면 이런 영상들, 좋은 자료들을 좀 올려놓도록 하겠습니다. 그래요. 혹시 좀 질문이 있으세요? 지금 5시 전에 지금 8분 정도 시간이 됐는데 질문이 있으시면 저와 여기 아론 씨가 답변을 좀 해드리도록 할게요. 그리고 파운데이션에서 잠시 좀 설명을 좀 해드릴게요. 파운데이션은 이제 여기 인터내셔널 프로그램이고 그리고 OIC에서 제공하는 프로그램이 아니니까 주로 이제 저랑 OIC랑 좀 얘기를 해서 대화를 해서 제 학생이 파운데이션에서 조금 부족하다라고 하면 엘레벨에서 좀 부족하다라고 하면 엘레벨을 다시 할 건지 아니면 파운데이션을 통해서 의대를 갈 건지 왜 이런 논의도 계속 하고 있거든요. 그래서 실제로 그렇게 해가지고 의대를 가는 학생들이 있고 OIC도 그렇지만 저도 목표가 학생들이 의대를 시작을 하면 100% 의대를 갈 수 있는 걸 목표로 하기 때문에 찾아낼 수 있는 방법은 어떤 거든 찾아내서 저희가 입학을 하도록 이렇게 좀 도와주고 있거든요. 그러다 보니까 제 학생은 아일랜드도 가고요. 그죠? 그다음에 파운데이션 통해서 정말 그죠? 다 일반적인 영국 학생들이 가지 않는 그런 루트를 통해서 가는 방법이라든지 왜 이런 것을 좀 제시를 해드리고 있고요. 잠깐만요. I have a question. 엘레벨 성적이 중요한 것은 알겠는데 GCS 성적은 얼마나 중요한가요? Well, Aaron, can you answer? student asked how much GCS result is important to enter a medical school.
Okay, so I would say GCSEs, ultimately what you're doing as an international student is you're competing with British students for those places. So I would say if you can, if you're going to invest the money to become a doctor and the time, I would say that a 1-year GCSE is well worth the investment. Currently, because of the pandemic, we've seen 2 years now of students with no qualifications. So if you think the students applying to medical school now who are in the A-level year, they don't have GCSE, they don't have AS levels because they didn't take the exam. So it's really tough for universities to see who are the strong students. And what they traditionally look for is they look at how you scored in your GCSE. So as a rule of thumb, 6 A stars, so in maths and the 3 sciences plus any 2 other subjects is ideal. And that gives them the reassurance that you were already a strong student at 15 or 16. Whereas if you're coming from an international background and somewhere such as Korea or Hong Kong that does not have a qualification when you're 15, 16, it's much harder and it's much more competitive to really show your brilliance. That being said, almost all of our Korean students do not have GCSE, so the majority won't have GCSE, and they still are able to enter medicine. It's just that there are some universities that will prefer to see GCSE. So if you want to have access to all of the schools for medicine, definitely do GCSE, but it's not the end of the world if you don't have GCSE.
그래요. 지금 GCS는 당연히 중요하죠. 하지만 GCS를 할 수 없는 상황인데 GCS가 필요해서 GCS를 한다. 이건 말이 되진 않고요. 그다음에 말씀하셨던 것처럼 저희 학생 최근에 임페리얼, UCL 이렇게 했던 학생은 GCS 성적이 없었어요. 아시죠? 그래서 GCS 없어도 된다라고 생각을 그저 말하는 건 아니고요. 하지만 GCS 없어도 충분히 의대를 갈 수 있는 기회를 좀 주고, GCS 성적이 말씀하셨던 것처럼 6개 과목을 하고 A스타를 주면 좀 괜찮긴 하지만 사실은 말씀드렸던 것처럼 계속 말씀드렸던 것처럼 의대, 수의대, 어찌대 이쪽은 인터뷰라든지 어드미션 테스트 이런 쪽으로 충분히 메이크업 할 수 있는 이런 기회를 주기 때문에 그렇게 신경 안 쓴다기보다도 너무 걱정하실 필요는 없을 것 같아요. 그리고 무엇보다도 지금 프레젠테이션에서 안 나오긴 했지만 저는 상담을 하면서 의대를 가는 걸 목표로 해라라고 얘기를 하지 톱 대학을 가야 된다 이런 얘기를 하고 싶진 않아요. 물론 어린 학생으로 톱 대학을 가고 캠브리지 의대를 가고 하면 좋겠죠. 근데 캠브리지 의대는 15명 뽑아요. 외국 학생 전 세계에서. 임페리얼은 24명밖에 뽑진 않아요. 그러니까 이 제도를 이기기는 너무너무 힘들다. 그래서 의대를 가는 걸 목표로 해라 라고 얘기를 하는 편이거든요. 물론 그렇다라고 하면 좀 낮은 학교도 지원하고 들어갈 수 있는 방향으로 지원하는 건데 제가 그런 실패 사례를 너무 많이 보기 때문에 그래요. 옥스퍼드를 지원하고요. 옥스퍼드는 거의 외국 학생을 뽑진 않거든요. 그리고 임페리얼, UCL, 킹스 여기에서 끝나는 사람이 있거든요. 4개의 학교를 지원하는데 그래서 아무튼 이런 부분이 있다라는 거 그죠? 말씀드리고요. 그래, 혹시 또 질문이 있으세요? 그래요. 그러면 지금 거의 시간이 됐는데 저희 의사분 지금 좀 들어온 것 같아요. 그래서 5시 지금 3분 후에 그 김지황 의사분이거든요. 그래서 이분께서 좀 경험이라든지 이런 걸 좀 얘기를 해드릴 거예요. 그래서 도움이 되시길 바라고요. Aaron, thank you so much. It was great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. You take care.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye. 그래요. 그러면 지금 3분 정도 있는데 3분 정도 후에 제 김지황 의사분을 좀 모셔보도록 할게요. 잠시 후에 뵐게요. 안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하세요. 지금 어디세요? 레스터세요?
네.
아, 그렇구나. 예. 오늘 쉬는 날이세요?
네, 오늘 쉬는 날이에요.
아, 그래요. 아이고, 아침에 일찍 일어나서 감사합니다. 지금 8시 됐겠네요. 아침 8시.
네.
네, 그래요.
이거 화면 잘 나오나요?
예, 화면 잘 나와요. 잘 나와요. 그래요. 지금 한 1분 정도 있다가 이렇게 하시면 될 것 같고,
네.
그래요. 어떻게 잘 지내고 있으세요? 어때? 코로나 상황은 좀 어떠세요? 영국은?
그냥 뭐 변함없는 것 같아요. 여름이랑 그냥.
아, 그래.